Hyundai Tucson versus Toyota RAV4. Hyundai Tucson wins every time. Right now, for a limited time, lease the Tucson for just $299 a month. Visit by.
All right, we're back. Whew, sorry for that. We had a little burp in the action due to an internet issue, but we're back. And we're going to be high paced now since we missed some time. All right. So we were talking about the hard sciences and how what they tell you is not what it really is, you know?
Yeah,
they're always changing it, you know, and that's supposed to be science. But at the same time, it's rigid, and it's whatever they say at the moment.
Yeah, it's based on manufacture of consensus and presumed unexaminable premises and inscrutable methodologies that can't be like really replicated other than through their private purview.
Yeah.
And the thing I was touching on right as the stream cut out last time was that what we consider the hard sciences have actually been just as much influenced by this kind of spiritual alchemy, ancient mystery school, Kabbalistic, cosmogenesis type thinking that is in itself highly belief-based, inherently speculative.
I think I have a good article to evidence this, you know. It's funny. Trump was laughed at by his detractors for announcing, and I consider myself one of them, you know, the Space Force. It's interesting, as much as they hate the guy, it's still in play or something. This is from June 3rd. How the U.S. Space Force plans to police outer space. Outer space is getting crowded with both commercial endeavors and secretive military projects. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe they're so secretive that our upper atmosphere is polluted with all sorts of surveillance platforms and this and that. But the idea that our outer space, like this whole vacuum of space beyond the gravity perimeter of the Earth, where everything orbits and all that shit, and they're policing it, and there's space trash, and it's this big threat, and like even the David Wilcock people, you know, the aliens are here to keep us from blowing ourselves up, you know, and Stephen Greer weaponizing space, and that ties into the whole nuclear fraud as well, you know, the big bomb scare tactic that they use
right.
to control the nuclear waste industry. But just before you chime in, that space is crowded. Have you ever been on an airplane and see how not crowded the actual Earth is?
Right.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that it's actually the psyop of the cosmological construct that allows for this.
That's where you talk about spiritual alchemy
right.
and egregores and stuff. This is all fiction in people's heads.
Yep.
It's not real.
Yep.
The whole Jeff Bezos space tourism, it's just a little carrot on a stick to get you to continue to believe in the technocracy.
Yes.
You know?
And you know, lone scum.
They become
Elon
priests,
Musk, like,
priests of outer space, because they've been to this orgasmic place that you're never going to be able to afford to get to.
Exactly.
It's the Elysium paradigm.
Yeah, and the Elysium paradox, which is like, you know, it's not up in the air where the so-called elite are going. It's actually underground.
Yeah.
So if there's That just tells you right there that we do not have dominion over the luminaries in the sky and the purview of what those light sources really even are.
Well,
we just have projections and patterns of
before,
belief and manufactured consensus.
Since we're already on this topic of space fraud, flat Earth, old world construction cover-up, let's just go ahead and cover this as part of that topic before we take our first caller. We see a 434 number on the line. Thank you for holding. If you'll just bear with us for a few more minutes, I just want to sort of conclude this bit of information before we move on to whatever it is you want to talk about. But there was a good conversation on the Zetetic News Telegram about this subject with a member, Riley, who was on the show a couple shows ago, called in asking about evidence around, talking points in favor of the, quote, flat Earth theory. I heard something about how the Earth is in the shape of a prism. And there was a good discussion. I'm not going to read through it, but, we provided some source material from Eric Dubay. I think that's probably the best starting point on this subject. If you go Google talking points on flat Earth, you're probably going to get some sort of
Professor Dave.
Yeah, Professor Dave or Mark Sargent or whatever, where there's a definitive model around this disc. And I like Eric Dubay because
it's more ambiguous.
It's more like the honest answer is we don't really know because we're not really allowed to basically explore it. However, what we do know is what they claim, meaning the astrophysics authority figures, and we can, with 200 different proofs, basically say that's bunk. So given that that's bunk and there's no real rebuttal to that, we have to proceed by inquiry and look at things a little bit differently. So anyways, the conversation was really good. I think you might have chimed in and provided some points, pointing out, globes are inherently imaginary. Universal Studios had a globe revolving in the vacuum of space as their logo some 40 years before the moon landings. And a lot of people do believe that the moon landings were a hoax, but then you bring up this subject and they're like, I can't go there.
No, the globe is operational.
Well, then it's like, well, what do you think the motive of the moon landing was? If it's a hoax, what was the motive? And they're like, oh, I don't know, just
Cold War,
Russian, tech supremacy, which is what they tell you it was for.
That's tier 1.
That's what they told you it was for, right?
Yeah, that's the official plausible deniability explanation. But yeah, the globe. I just want to read the rest of that post right quick. The globe goes back to pre-Pythagorean days with the Samothracian Kabiri. And they're the initiates who worship these deities who they mystically imagined that the gods of the pantheon were embodied as great orbs in the forms of the lights in the sky. The globe is basically a mystery school invention used to, quote unquote, empower initiates to imagine themselves as demigods, who are the beings who rule over the goddess Gaia, aka the orb body of the earth. Again, within this ancient mystery school that goes back, a long ways, guys, and has actually influenced a lot of the shaping of modern day religions as well. So it's very interesting where you see a lot of these like Christian creationist types will genuflect to the globe still. That's
why I'd love to have Adam Green on the show to talk with you about how that came to be. Obviously we can recognize that the world's religions are a control mechanism, but I think flat Earth and that whole subject is often left out of the conversation in regards to that.
But the whole modern conception of like everything revolves around the sun, etc., that was Copernicus, and that was 50 years before Galileo's musings. The telescopic imagery is in itself misleading because the kind of glass magnification technique used on the light sources in the sky artificially kind of sphericize the light source in question, rendering it more solid looking than is actually the case. And if you compare like a 100x telescope versus a 1000x digital high definition zoom on, say, Mars, and you see that Mars is not as solid looking as it appears through a much lower resolution telescope. It's actually much more various in its shape and contours and light, and it seems much more etheric and plasmatic than an actual
the luminaries in the
place.
sky, you mean?
Right.
Right.
They're not places you can land.
Because there was a discussion about what about the moon? We've heard from certain whistleblowers that there's an actual base on there, and certain people say it's credible, and by the same token, you have to understand, anybody saying that they participated in some sort of secret space program, they were a part of the military-industrial complex, and they might be getting a fragment of the truth, but they could easily be deceived themselves, even on an experiential point of view, because the Earth is so vast and because the military industrial complex has access to all the best technology, they can easily create a scenario from any prying eyes where, say, someone is taken to a remote location that takes 72 hours to get to, or 30 days to get to. It could be totally underground and a fabricated environment to look like, a Mars colony or a moon base or something like that. I mean, just look at what they do with the movies. Mm-hmm. And now this augmented reality, which it's now filtered down to the consumer retail market. You can literally buy a headset and go, quote, explore the world through the headset. So they've had that for probably 40, 50, 60 years. And then we don't even know what they have in terms of implants. Forget about putting a screen over your eyes, which you obviously feel and know that you're doing. And so it's kind of like going into a movie theater. You're telling yourself this isn't a real experience, and so you can enjoy it as like a fiction. But if they like wire into certain people's brain, they can just, who knows? And the reality is none of us have been, to quote the moon, right? So how can you just believe what the government tells you about it?
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
And ultimately you have to believe what the government's telling you about it, because whenever you ask for proof of, say, the shape of the Earth, most people will just reference government created images.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to pull up this. If you actually go to the CNN,
I'll drop it in there.
The Telegram. I'm actually gonna post this now.
Oh, well, while you post it,
there we go.
Oh yeah, I did watch this. We'll play it in a minute.
This is key.
Well, I sent this to you. I just posted it in the CNN before we go to that, because now that I'm a cretin who's questioning my reality,
a miscreant.
Right. I look at things totally different. Here I'm in the yard. All right, Xavier, riddle me this. It's almost 2:00 in the afternoon, and you can fucking see the moon. Now, if the moon is there, and it's in the sky for people at night on the other side of the world, and the crescent is like our shadow being cast by the sun, but the sun is right there.
Yeah.
How? They're juxtaposed in the sky. It doesn't make any sense at all. The sun shines in all directions
at the same time,
right?
Yeah, but
according to them,
right? They have this gobbledygook thing about parallel lines and how our eyes can't properly triangulate the actual orientation in space and all this stuff. I mean, it's gobbledygook.
And so they ultimately will end up drawing a cartoon for you instead of you going out and looking at things for yourself.
Right.
Okay. So let's play your clip here.
Yeah.
This was very revealing.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts
certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics or physics.
It is certainly true that in string theory, the number 10 is the dimension of space-time for supersymmetrical string theories, and 26 for bosonic string theories stand out as a requirement of the mathematics.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that do destroy every rival theory to string theory, they are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could just have been a lucky guess. I don't know.
The Zohar speaks of impure fats and pure fats, and that relates very well to modern medicine's view of the two types of cholesterol.
Now you tell me, how come that's the only text who 2,000 years old can have that kind of information so clearly there?
They knew things about the universe that took us till now to discover.
I think it's rather intriguing that the Zohar mentions cholesterol and mentions the liver and bile.
What I like about Kabbalah is that it has a rather profound view of
He's sitting in front of a telescope.
A creator, of a divine being that transcends all possible notions that we could have.
There can be an interface between science and spirituality.
The Zohar's notion that light is a realm of no time and no space is quite consistent with special relativity.
What's been stopping it so far are, number one, the lack of a good concept, and I think the Kabbalah is offering that now in the context of modern science, and two, a reticence on the part of both scientists and people in religion to mix the two.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
And that's a video that's kind of like highlighting, look, how profound is this? This is so cool. So this is someone who like is trying to validate Kabbalah based on current scientific musings. Well, if you know anything about the Kabbalah, it actually discredits the entire fabrication of this cosmology industry, the fake cosmology industry, essentially.
So what are they getting off on?
I think they're getting off on just being able to be highly sophisticated in deceptive concepts. You know, I mean, I think a lot of it is just the
to me, it's just gobbledygook. It is such gobbledygook.
Well, I mean, it's string theory and astrophysics and all this stuff. It shows you that the foundations of this speculative projectionism, which is really all it is, it's basically taking atomistic ideas and projecting them out on, you know, unfathomable scale in an outside, inner, outer, divisive manner. So it's like another form of schizophrenia in a way, because we have quantum mechanics, right, that is supposed to be all about the super minute. And if you look at a lot of quantum mechanics too, there's quite a bit of mysticism there as well. And when you look at this macro micro paradigm, this cosmology that we've dealt with the sciences, you see that it reinforces a pre-existing cosmological trend that's been intact within the world for quite some time. So it's not something that's a amazing genius discovery. It's not something that's, you know, highfalutin knowledge about the actual world. It's really just formalistically projected mysticism through mathematics and theoretical.
Let's just look at if you're just listening, you got to tune in to one of the live streams so you can see our screen here. let's just tune over to Scientific America. What quantum mechanics can teach us about abortion? As light can exist as both a particle and a wave, an abortion provider can honor birth and fight for a person's right to give birth when it's right for them.
Let's read that last part of the sentence. An abortion provider can honor birth and fight for a person's right to give birth when it's right for them. Okay, that's a nice euphemism there at the end. So basically they're saying that an abortion provider can honor birth and be an advocate for people eliminating the fetus's ability to be born. So again, more schizophrenia, more doublethink, more Orwellian thought matrix garbledygook. Schrodinger's cat, right? It's both alive and dead.
Generally attributed to Carl Jung, holding the tension of opposites is how psychologists describe the ability of the human brain to accept seemingly contradictory concepts. My favorite example is the nature of light. Is light a particle or a wave? Blah, blah, blah. Quantum mechanics, the duality. Yeah. Okay. While I'm not the first to apply the idea of unified opposites to the abortion discussion, a recent experience crystallized for me how important it is that we do so. Oh God, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very anecdotal.
This is in Scientific America.
This is supposed to be, this is a Scientific American article, and it's basically just pure anecdote and pill pull. So.
Reproduction. All right, we've gone on. We've left this poor person on hold long enough. Let's shut up for a minute and bring in our 434 area code. Thank you for joining. We'll do a quick sound check, make sure we can hear you. You can hear us. And if you would please tell us your preferred pronoun and your name. Don't give us your last name in case, you know, the authorities are listening and want to come after you for some reason or something you say. I hope you've been enjoying the show. And
they did.
Say again?
This is Dutch.
Oh,
this is Dutch.
Dutch.
Oh, Dutch, hey.
Hey, Dutch. Dutch was on, man, I forget, maybe episode 16 or something like that. We had him in studio. We'll post a link in the description to listen to that. That was a very
How's it going,
fun
Xavier?
and entertaining show. It's going good.
How's it going, Xavier?
Doing good.
How you doing, Dave?
Oh, I'm doing good.
How you guys doing?
Solid.
Just hanging
Great.
in there.
Yep. Are you keeping an eye on my coat?
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact, and I have also been wearing the gloves you left me quite a bit.
Well, that's good.
So what's on your mind today, Dutch?
You want me to talk about what I think, what my opinion is on what you guys are talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we started with the Guidestones, then we talked about, you know, the flat Earth, you know, Space Force, and of course now, you know, quantum mechanics.
I wanted to touch on that and make my point because, you know, of course, when you get to my age, you know, you don't know how long you're going to be around. So, I pretty much, you know, from my conversation I had with you all before, I think you got the idea that I've come to conclusions and everything that other people haven't, based on what I've experienced and what I've been through in 60 years of living. So basically on the Georgia Guidestones, it's really simple. You're looking at some stones that were put up by the guys that are hidden in the background. They're letting you know what the son of perdition is doing. And what I mean by the son of perdition, he's the one that guides all these people that are doing evil things throughout the world. And I'm talking about the devil. okay? And he is got to tell you what he's doing. He's got to let people know what he's doing. He can't physically hurt you, but he can get other people to do it. And if you fall into it, that's what will happen to you and everything. You'll end up going 6 foot under the ground and everything, because there's people that will do it for him because they're worshiping him. All right, and they'll keep on worshiping him, and that's all there is to that. Basically, all these things that you have to remember, that he's controlling, and he's in control of this earth right now, is the political, the educational, the media, and I'm trying to think the other. There's one other thing and all that, but
spiritual
and the economic.
The media. Did I say the media?
Yes.
Technology.
Did I say the media? Okay. Well, he's in control of all the things that are orchestrating the final thing that he's going to do to try to battle God, and that's all there is to it. And that's what you're seeing. It's not a lot of this stuff and everything that you're seeing that to me, you're looking too far into it and everything, because you really don't have to. And all to protect your families, what you need to do is stick by God and follow his rules, and you will win in the end. That's the formula to getting through what this stuff is, that's boggling your mind and everything out here. And I know it's a lot to take in, and I can tell by your conversations that that's exactly what you're exploring. You're exploring every little facet of what's going on with the economy, everything, and all, because you have families. And basically, it boils down to is that we're not in control. We've never been in control. You never are going to be in control and everything. The only thing you're in control of is your own life and where your soul is going.
No.
That's it.
Isn't that control? Isn't that control?
What's that? What's that?
You said we're not in
Say it
control.
again?
You said we're not in control, but we're in control of our lives and where our soul's going. That sounds like control, right? That's the free will principle.
Of ourselves.
Right. Yes, of course.
Because
no,
the
I
sun
can't
position-
control the fact that the Antarctica is sequestered by the military. In that I can't go physically explore it myself, but I can talk about it and try to raise awareness about it, so that maybe more people would look into that.
Right.
That's the point of the show and
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're trying to do here.
Well, that you're informing people of things that they don't ever, on an everyday thing. They're just busy trying to work and make money to feed their families and pay their bills and all that stuff and everything. And a lot of this stuff goes past them because of the fact that it's so complicated.
Well, let me ask you something.
You guys.
Let me ask you something. I wish we had James Iredell in the room, another former guest, because I'd love for you and him to go back and forth, because you guys both believe in God and this control, through a demonic evil force. And frankly, I believe in that sort of that characterization too, although I may use different language to describe it, as per the abortion thing. I think you can see a lot of this almost possession taking place. But the reason I bring up James is because I would love to have you guys go back and forth on this question, which is, was the Supreme Court reversal of Roe v. Wade, was that God, in your opinion, making things right? Or was that the devil, in your opinion,
No.
setting a trap
No,
for
that's the
something else, perhaps civil unrest,
No, that's the conscience of the Supreme Court justices that Trump put in there that actually have a conscience, that decided we need to do something about this, or it would have never been overturned. That took a lot of guts for them to take that on. I mean, look what they did to Kavanaugh and all, going out to his house. And, of course, that was a federal offense, what they were doing, intimidating a Supreme Court justice. That they should have been arrested. But that'll tell you how deep the devil is in our government system, because he is controlling the FBI, the CIA, even facets of the military and all that at this point. And now, of course, I knew that way back in my time. That I won't explore that. We've already done a show on that and everything. But they are following something that they think is alien, and they have no clue how deep in the doo-doo they are. They are following what the son of perdition is doing, and I guarantee you that he's way smarter than anybody here on earth and all. He was the highest angel in heaven at one time, appointed by God to protect the mercy seat and all that, the throne of God and everything. He was a cherubim, and he's not ugly. He's beautiful, okay, and he can appear as anything he wants and all that. But he cannot, he's got to abide by the rules of God and everything, which is he cannot hurt anybody himself. He can't physically hurt you. He can get other people to do it. That's the key to it. Now, everybody thinks that, oh, he's going to come in and start killing people, cutting their heads off and all this stuff and everything, and that's not the case and everything. It says in the Bible he comes in peacefully and prosperly, okay, when he makes his appearance. And everything that's happening is geared towards setting him up to do that. And it's coming down to the wire. It's getting close. And I can tell you that right now, based on what I've been seeing happening and everything, it's going to happen in the near future here pretty soon. And if you don't have your self together and you're not on the right side, you're going to be in trouble, because he's, like I said, he's way more intelligent. And the things he has in place are just unbelievable. I mean, look at all the things that you guys discussed in just the first hour and everything, all this technical stuff and everything. I mean, that's what you're talking about here. I mean, he's got people believing the Earth's round. He's got people believing the sun does what they say in the educational books it does and everything, and it's all bogus and everything. He's got people believing that it's okay to kill, even little babies and everything. Got women out there saying, I kill my babies and stuff. I mean, he has done a masterful job of deceiving humankind. And he's going to keep on doing it until his purpose is to destroy the flesh. That's his purpose, is to destroy God's creation. And I'm not talking just about humans. His purpose is to destroy everything of flesh that God created. And if he can do it with the plants and the animals and everything, he'll do that too and everything, because it's all about, he hates God, hates what he stands for. That's why he turned against him in heaven, and they threw him and a third of the angels out. And they're helping him. Believe me, he's not alone. He's having them go out throughout the world and everything and influence people that are hidden in the background that you talk about all the time. These guys that put up the Georgia Guidestones, those guys are, and one of them is Soros, I mean, you know him, right?
Isn't it the case though that Lucifer's rebellion, just within the cosmology that you're in, that ultimately was sanctioned by God as a means to test his creation? So really, the devil is working for God.
Well, it boils down to this, Savior, that when he got prideful and he turned against God, God has to go by certain rules also. He has to, when he speaks something or he creates something, and everything. He has to abide by what he says. He can't go back on it like we can go back on something. We can say, well, tomorrow I'm going to go fishing and everything, and then you change your mind and say, no,